Out goes Mac McClung. In comes Monte Morris. The Pacers keep making moves to combat their injuries. Why'd they do this one? Why did Mac McClung get waived? What does Monte Morris bring? And let's talk about a question I keep getting. Is Pascal Siakam playing too much? We'll get to it all today on the Locked On Pacers podcast.
You are Locked On Pacers, your daily Indiana Pacers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, everybody? Happy Friday. Congrats. You made it through the weekend. Welcome into another edition of the Locked On Pacers podcast, where we, of course, talk about the Indiana Pacers. As always, my name's Tony East. I cover the team for Forbes and Circle City Spin. And today, more moves for the Pacers, their fourth transaction of the season. Mac McClung is going to get waived. Monte Morris, who we talked about a lot in the summer and then a little before training camp, and then turns out he's hurt and he couldn't come to camp, is coming in this time. The Pacers badly need a point guard, a healthy, specifically point guard. And then we'll talk about a question I keep getting during radio spots from fans, whatever. Is Pascal Siakam playing too much? Plus a little bit more on clutch stats that I have misconstrued to you by not accident, but just they are not a perfect way to talk about the Pacers. Okay, transactions first, and specifically let's start with Monte Morris and why these kind of moves with McClung are kind of tandem moves, but not at the same time. So what I mean by that is when they signed Mac McClung last week, they needed a guard, period, end of sentence. Doesn't matter what kind of guard, any guard. When right now, right this second, I'm talking to you, you're listening, they need a point guard, a big difference, and we'll talk about why that matters. With McClung, I don't think did anything wrong. It's just what the team needs right now. Like, look at their injury report, man. Tyrese Haliburton out. You know this. Andrew Nembhard's out. You know this. Progressing pretty well. I saw him shooting with both shoulders before one of their recent games. TJ McConnell out. His reevaluation date just 2 days away now, or at least when we get another update on his status. Quentin Jackson is out and going to miss this entire road trip. That just leaves Ray J. Dennis left, who's clearly also bothered by his back thing. He's wearing a brace. He's playing 5 minutes in a game where they have no other point guards 2 nights ago against the Nets, right? And he's had some good moments lifting their offense. In Dallas, he was quite good. Minnesota, he was good. They can't even rely on that. They have nobody. They're playing Ben Shepherd. They're playing Talon Peter. This is no knock on those guys who have both honestly done okay. Like, they haven't played well all season, obviously, but have done enough guiding the offense to be like, yeah, I get why they're the choices. The Pacers are making 4 assists for Talon Peter, which had just 1 turnover against the Nets. Ben Shepherd obviously had probably his best game of the season 2 nights ago. That's all fine and dandy. Those aren't point guards. They're just not, right? Monte Morris is to a T. That's his big sales pitch. And I would like to go back to the summer, right before camp, whenever. Many of you listening have heard me talk about Monte Morris a million times. And what he brings to the Pacers is not exactly what they need, but think about the game they just had. 16 turnovers. Now, granted, not a ton of those came from the guys who are air quotes playing point guard. In fact, only 2 of them did. But that is Monte Morris's thing. To a T. That dude is never, ever turning the ball on and look at his advantage. If you have Basketball Reference, everybody does. It's free. Turnover percentage for Monte Morris, below 10% every season since his rookie year. That's very good for a point guard who has the ball a good amount. And for the Pacers right now, so one, obviously, not turning it over is a good thing. For the Pacers right now, who can't make anything, they can't make shots. Their way to win, or their way to claw into these games, is being better in the possession battle, right? Get the rebounds. They're doing great there. Top 10 in the league in rebounds, probably higher than that. I haven't looked recently, but they were top 2 at one point over the weekend. They're rebounding pretty well. Now they got to get the turnover thing under control. 16 against the Nets, that's too many, and that's too much to overcome when you shoot under 42% from the field again. They lose that turnover battle by 4. 4 possessions in that game would have gone a long way, right? It was a 5-point game, 3-point game, whatever, inside the final 5 minutes. So Monte Morris, not only his specific strengths, but the position he plays matter quite a bit for, again, this is what they've been chasing this whole early part of the season. When it comes to putting their team together, is they just can't even build a real rotation sometimes. You look down and you're like, wait, who's the backcourt? Is this right? It's Talon Peter, Jeremiah Robinson Earl, and Cody Martin or whatever. That, I don't think that specific trio ever happened, but it's just lineups that you're like, that doesn't even make sense. And it doesn't make sense. Why are they choosing this? We all know why they're choosing it. They're too banged up to do anything else. Yeah, okay. The one that I put in my notes that made me laugh was Taylor Peter, Ben Shepherd, Cody Martin was at one point their backcourt early in the second quarter. Then Aaron Nesmith came in, Jarris Walker came in, and Robinson Earl came in. So it was like Shepherd, Walker, Robinson Earl, or Shepherd, Nesmith, Robinson Earl. It's like, what? And it's not like an incorrect choice. That's just who's available for them. They need a point guard, and they need a good one. And they identified that before the season started. And then Dalen Wright got hurt, and campaign wasn't any good. Monte Morris got hurt. And Quentin Jackson got hurt and then recovered and got hurt again. And TJ McConnell got hurt in the preseason. And then Andrew Emhart got hurt in the opener. Like, we've been over this all a million times. You know the point guard situation. And that's why they need a point guard. And that's why they're doing this. That is, I think, the main crux of this is the player they are bringing in is a need. They need a point guard. Apologies to Mac McClung. He has to be the loser in this situation. But they need Monte Morris. He played fine enough for the Suns last year as their backup point guard. He does have, ironically enough, for the Pacers, not like the cleanest last couple of years of injuries, 45 games for the Suns last year, 33 the year before that with two teams. But for a while before that was playing in a high percentage of games. Remember some of those COVID seasons, they played fewer games. He's played all 82 in a season before. The Pacers will hope that he will play in a lot of games. Thomas Bryant had a checkered injury history. He came to the Pacers midseason last year and did not miss a game. So Monte Morris, you've heard the sales pitch. I've talked about him a million times. Whatever path you want the Pacers to take, losing games or winning games, great. You need a caretaker to help you have your young players you'd like to play be better, and you need a caretaker if you're going to try to win too. I totally understand why they want Monte Morris. This is the second time they've tried to pursue him, and now we have learned from various conversations along the way, Monte Morris was a part of last week's Pacers free agency group that worked out in Dallas. It actually was Mac McClung, Monte Morris, and Cody Martin. They're all going to get a shot on the team. So Monte Morris in, again, I don't really need to explain this again because we've been over the point guard thing a million times, but like he's going to be in the rotation for sure on this road trip. And like, would it shock me if he started? Probably not right away, but if he can give them some steadying hand stuff, why not? Like what is Shepherd starting at the one really like lifting the whole tide of the starting five with absolutely no offense to Ben Shepherd. So we'll see. Ray J's health also could be a factor, but having 48 minutes potentially of point guard play available to you, important. Monte Morris on his basketball reference page, one of his assists is the count of Monte assist to TO, like turnover. Clearly, that's his thing. Doesn't turn it over. So that's the gist here. They had to open a roster spot to get him. And look, two players entered Thursday with non-guaranteed deals, and they haven't actually announced this yet. It's about 12:30 a.m. on the 7th, so technically it'll happen Friday. I have to change my cap stuff a little bit, but the two guys with non-guaranteed deals were Tony Bradley and Mac McClung. Tony Bradley's playing rotation minutes every game, basically. They're trying 3 centers a game. They're by committing it. Foul troubles forced them to do it very often. Tony Bradley just played 13 and a half minutes against the Nets. Mac McClung was their only active player who did not play at all, right? Like, clearly, if they're going to waive somebody, it was going to be McClung. So let's talk about that part of this now, because, of course, it's always annoying to fans when they have a guy for 10 days and everybody says, they didn't give him a chance. Why'd they even do this, blah, blah. My actual question would be, why did, what happened in that workout last week that led to McClung being the choice over Morris, and now they're flipping that? However, the difference is what I said at the beginning. Then they needed a guard. Now they need a point guard. They might have been more open to the McClung idea then. So let me first talk about something that is situationally just lost on people for some reason. Last week, they played that Dallas Mavericks the day after, the very day after they signed Mac McClung. They started Shepherd, Nesmith, Walker, Siakam, Jackson, a group that started a few times recently. Their bench that night, they had Quentin Jackson, they had Ray J. Dennis, and that's it for their backcourt guys. They had no other perimeter pieces available. Mac McClung played 12 and a half minutes in that game. He was pretty decent. I talked about that he looked like he'd been on the team for more than a day. That's all you could ask for him of that time. And then their other two bench players were both centers, right? They were light on any non-center bench player. So they needed not even point guard required. They needed a guard, period. McClung could do that. He could play two. He could be off ball a little bit. Didn't have to, handle it as much as Ray J. Dennis or Quentin Jackson, and they brought him in. People forget that Taylor Peter was just hurt and out for that game, right? That was the last game he missed from that groin injury. He left in Memphis, and then he missed Minnesota and Dallas. He was back for the next game in Atlanta. That's going to take some of Mac McClung's minutes. They play Atlanta. Then the next game, they signed someone else, Jeremiah Robinson Earl. Then look at that. Wednesday, here comes another player. So there's more to this than that, but I think people have forgotten that a big part of the reason they immediately needed Mac McClung, that immediate need was gone. a few days later. Now, I still have thoughts on this waiver, why this happened, what else it means for the Pacers, what happens now roster-wise for this team. So much more to get to on this move. Coming up here on Locked On Pacers. But first, everybody, I need to tell you about the great people over at DoorDash. The NBA season's heating up. DoorDash has found the perfect way to keep fans in their bag all season long. Whether you are watching for the highlights of your fantasy team or just your favorite player, DoorDash makes every game night even better. DoorDash is the official on-demand delivery platform of the NBA, and they're celebrating with something called the Bag Drop. Every time an NBA player scores 50 points in a game, which is happening all the time somehow, DoorDash drops 50% off your order with Dash Pass the next day, and you're automatically entered for a chance to win the ultimate fan bag with player-inspired drip, exclusive gear, stuff you actually want. It's not just food. You can get more than that on DoorDash. Snacks, drinks, headphones, ice, all delivered. They have everything you need for your late-night highlights, last-minute watch parties, and double OT fuel up. So next time somebody goes for 50, use promo code NBA50 the next day to get 50% off on DoorDash with Dash Pass, plus your shot at the bag drop. Dash Pass members only 50% off up to $10 the day after a 50-point game with promo code. Terms apply. No purchase necessary. Ends April 13th. Open to U.S. residents 21 and older. Visit DoorDashInYourBag.com for full details. DoorDash in your bag all season long. We're back here on Locked On Pacers. Thanks for making this your first listen today and every single day, or second listen. Many choices to go to. The Clippers looked like crap against the Suns last night. I thought the Clippers might be decent. They do not appear to be decent right now. Locked On Clippers can explain what is going on with the old, creaky Clippers that I still thought would be good despite just that, being old and creaky. Okay, Mac McClung on the way out. I obviously think they could use Monte Morris more than him right this second. People keep asking why they signed Mac McClung at all if they're just going to do this, right? And that's missing the point. They're not signing Mac McClung to play him all the time. People keep saying, so my response to them every time is like, why did they sign him at all, right? They cut him 10 days later, basically, 11, whatever it's going to end up being. And I keep saying they needed a guard. And they say, well, then why did they play him? You don't need a guard because you need them to play all the time, every game. You need a guard because you need depth at a position sometimes, right? The day after they signed him, they did need him to play. He played against Dallas. He played their very next game against Atlanta. They got Taylor Peter back, but they were able to sign Jeremiah Robinson Earl after that game. And Mac McClung played way more than Taylor Peter against the Hawks. He played 19 minutes. Taylor Peter played 8. But as they added more perimeter guys like Robinson Earl, as they got Q with more health at first and then less, and then they got Cody Martin in, that the minutes available on the perimeter went down. You still need depth just because you add more pieces. My evidence of that goes back to last year, which apparently this was a forgotten thing that happened too that people forgot about, right? So last year, the Pacers had more tax considerations, to be clear, when it came to building their team. But remember, they lost Isaiah Jackson. They lost James Wiseman, and they were trying to get by with backup centerless, right, for a little bit there. And everybody kept saying they probably need to sign one. If Miles Turner gets hurt, they're going to miss a game, even if that guy's not playing very much. Guess what happened? They played that game in Toronto. It was Turner's second missed game of the season, and they lost by 11. And that night, in that game, they started Enrique Freeman at the 5, and Obi Toppin was the backup. And Freeman was minus 18 in an 11-point loss. And, it is what it is. And Miles Turner returned the next game. But you know what else happened in between those games? They signed Moses Brown because they needed depth at the position, even with Freeman and the Toppin option on the team. You just need depth at the 5 just in case. Even if Moses Brown's not going to play every night, and he ended up playing some, but he played less than Freeman in the next game. Sometimes you just need depth in case something happens, in case there's an injury, in case there's a change to your game plan, in case there's foul trouble. Mac McClung became that. That's not a bad thing to be. They needed a guard to be there in case they needed him, not because they needed him. And I think that is a key distinction that somehow just got forgotten as the Pacers, again, since they signed Mac McClung, signed 2 other players and got Taylor Peter back. So that, I think, got in the way of him playing more. And again, they needed a point guard instead of just a regular guard. And then the other part of this is I keep seeing this one. Oh, my gosh. He just scored 12 points against the Atlanta Hawks. He did score 12 points against the Atlanta Hawks. That was a nice game for Mac McClung. He had 3 steals, right? Some of the stuff that he's been doing well. They need him to be a 1. You know what else he did in that game? He had 0 assists and 2 turnovers. And he was 5 for 12 to get to those 12 points. Right, that's 1 point per shot. They've had lots of guys be worse than that, to be clear, but those guys do other things. And so this is not a crap on Mac McClung situation. He played better than I thought he would, given what his career track record was, and had some nice moments for this team, particularly on the defensive end. But I totally get why this is happening. They need something else from that roster spot. They just do. And it's going to be Monte Morris, and it's not going to be Mac McClung, even though he had some nice highs. He made some shots. He's super athletic. He's interesting. He became less important when they got Peter back, when they got other perimeter guys. He became less important when they need a point guard more than they need just any guard. Unfortunately for Mac McClung in his 3 games with the Pacers, which is his longest stop with any team, just a really strange career to this point. It will no longer be continuing. Some fun moments, though. It was enjoyable to watch him play and watch his pregame dunks and watch his halftime dunks. That dude can fly. He's not that much taller than me, and boy, can that dude dunk, and I, let's just say, can't. Okay, so that is the transaction. I'm sure there'll be more questions. I hope I didn't miss anything. Oh, there was, obviously, the other question I kept getting. Well, why did they sign him to a multi-year contract if they were just going to cut him? That misses the whole point of Mac McClung's contract. One, the whole thing is non-guaranteed. Whatever, right? So he gets waived. His cap hit is just the prorated minimum salary for how many days he was on the team. It's going to end up being like 160, 170,000, something like that, right? That's very low. It's not like the Pacers are eating a ton of money to do this. The reason he got a 2-year deal, the second year had a team option. This is becoming sort of the Pacers special. Moses Brown got this contract last year. Tony Bradley kind of did. There was a little different circumstance because Bradley got signed after contracts had to be guaranteed. The reason the Pacers do this, at least this is my interpretation of it, is so what happens when you sign a guy to a 2-year deal that's a minimum instead of a 1-year deal is his cap hit's actually a little higher. So they're paying a little more for the player. But if that player turns out to be decent or good for them, they are getting a fully non-guaranteed team option season of a second season for that player, which is a good thing. So I view it as them buying the team option. They're paying a little more to buy the chance that this player ends up mattering for them and then is on an awesome contract. A non-guaranteed contract for a useful player is a bargain. So for Moses Brown, it did not work, right? They waived him a couple weeks after they signed him, and then they traded for Thomas Bryant soon after that. For Tony Bradley, granted, his first season could not be non-guaranteed because of when they signed him, but the second year was a non-guaranteed team option. It worked great. They have their most steady big man this season was signed because of this structure of contract, right? Tony Bradley, if he got a 1-year deal last year, may not be on the team. Who knows, right? So keep that in mind. They did that contract like that to give themselves the chance that McClung was awesome. Great. You can keep him for 2 seasons now. And if he's not, the penalty's not even the right word. The cap hit's just a smidge higher. So there's absolutely no long-term effects of this. Multi-year is technically true, but it's not actually like reflective of what the contract is. I wish McClung the best. He's super interesting, but the Pacers just need something else right now. This is, I think that like every show I've done for weeks, like I just have to keep the caveats in because people would comment them like crazy if I didn't about their injuries. But this is just another actions thing that just the reflection of where the Pacers are from an injury perspective. Think back to last year. It felt like they were really hurt early in the season. Nembhard, Shepard, Nesmith, both centers that went out for the year. They were so close to the tax that they couldn't reasonably use a hardship then at the time anyway. I don't even know if they had a full roster, which also is a hurdle. Regardless of that part of it, they had less injuries last year than this year, and it felt like they were really hurt last year. Last season, the Pacers made their first 4 transactions of the regular season, right? They did their training camp cuts, whatever. The regular season starts. Their first 4 moves were Moses Brown, the trade for Thomas Bryant, cutting Tristan Newton to sign Ray J. Dennis, and then trading James Wiseman to trade deadline. That was 4th. Their 4th move of like tweaking their roster did not come till February, even in an injury-filled season like last year. They've already made 4 this year. It's crazy, right? They cut Wiseman for McClung. They got Jeremiah Robinson Earl on a hardship 10-day. They got Cody Martin on a hardship 10-day, and then they waived McClung to sign Monte Morris. It's just they're just chasing a rotation that makes any sense at all. And that is perhaps that number, the number of transactions they've had to make in, by the way, their season's been going for 2 weeks and a day since their season opener. For the NBA season, it's been going on for 2.5 weeks, basically. They made 4 moves. It's just a challenging injury situation. They keep trying to figure out what makes their roster make sense until they get healthy, should that ever happen at this point. It's just been brutal luck from an injury perspective, and this is their next choice of attempt to combat it. They'll hope Monte Morris can be a guy, and I think that Quentin Jackson being out for some amount of time was the reason they decided that they needed to really go after a point guard instead of just any guard. It sucks for Mac McClung. They believed in Monte Morris before the season started. We'll see how this actually goes on the court, if it's the right choice or the wrong choice. Okay, that is an over-explained transaction, but I really wanted to get all the details out and answer all the questions I've been getting. Speaking of questions I've been getting, one has been about Pascal Siakam's minutes. There are a lot of them. There's a lot of them. Is this a good idea? Is this a bad idea? And I want to set the record straight on something I have been saying about the Pacers' clutch stats. We'll do it all to close out today's Locked On Pacers. But first, everybody, need to tell you about two awesome groups of people. First up, FanDuel. The NBA is back. There's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel. They're the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you missed the start of a game or you want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score next to fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. It keeps every game exciting, especially when your team is making that late push. So right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So head to FanDuel to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Let's also talk very quickly about Prize Picks. This episode is brought to you by Prize Picks. You and I make decisions every day, but on Prize Picks, being right, get you paid. Do not miss any excitement of this sports season, whether you're following the NFL, the NBA, or both. There's no better time to jump in on the action. If you haven't tried it yet, Prize Picks is the simplest way to play. Just pick more or less on at least two player stats. If you get them right, you win. It takes less than 60 seconds to make your lineup. You can play anywhere Prize Picks operates, including California, Texas, and Georgia. Football Sundays, NBA tip-offs can become more exciting. Pick your favorite players like Patrick Mahomes, Steph Curry, whatever, to see how your predictions play out. They have a stacks feature that people really enjoy, where you can now pick more on Steph's points, threes, and assists, for example, in the same lineup. Plus, if one of your players leaves early with an injury, the injury reboot saves your lineup from a loss. So download the Prize Picks app today. Use the code LOCKEDONNBA to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's LOCKEDONNBA for $50 in lineups after your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. We are back here on Locked On Pacers. Thanks for making this your first listen today and every single day. Your second listen, the NBA has been fascinating this season, but the Pistons are playing well, and they just made a waiver claim. Isaac Jones from the Kings to the Pistons. Precious Achiuwa's on the Kings now. Russell Westbrook has the guards rebound record, and so intertwined teams perfect. Locked On Pistons or Locked On Kings, both those teams interesting to me personally right this second. Okay, a few more minutes here to talk about two topics. I like when fans ask me questions. It makes it an easy topic. One is, and by the way, fittingly, if you are a everyday Locked On Pacers listener, you know we've talked about this on this show. Pascal Siakam's minutes, and I mentioned in the summer a few times, yes, Pascal Siakam is going to be their best player. They have to be cognizant of not running him into the ground, because their focus should be on the season after this one. No, don't get me wrong. They should be relying on Pascal Siakam to win games, use their best player. What is the limit of that where it makes sense? Pascal Siakam is playing 35.6 minutes per game this season. I would like you to guess in your head how many players you think are playing more than him right now per season. The answer is 11. 11 guys. Rui Hachimura, Cade Cunningham, Alperen Şengün, Devin Booker, DeMar DeRozan, Zach LaVine, Larry Markkinen, Kelly Oubre, Austin Reeves, Vijay Edgecombe, and Tyrese Maxey. Look at Nick Nurse. 3 of the top 4. Look at him go. Pascal Siakam in 12th for a 1-7 team, right? That dude is passionate as it gets. That dude wants to win every game. You can see him getting frustrated at moments when things go wrong for the Pacers. He's doing his best. He just put out those videos on his own Instagram and Twitter feeds about being like, yeah, this sucks. Like, we're losing. Like, he wants to win. He's going all for it. They've changed his rotation pattern a few times. Pascal Siakam is a rare star player who plays 3 stints in each half. Start, then like late first, early second, then to close the half. He's had some 2-stint halves, right? He's playing different but like a different setup than normal, and his minutes are higher. And look, a lot of people have suggested, even today when they made these moves, which I thought was stupid, I keep seeing people be like, well, yeah, they're losing, they're tanking. No, they're injured, and they're bad because they're injured. A team tanking would not be playing Pascal Siakam 36 minutes a night. Like, it's very obvious that they're not. In fact, the fact that they keep signing players and trying to, put veterans on the floor to win, they're trying to win, guys. They're just really hurt and not playing well. So if you're trying to win and you're not, and Pascal Siakam's playing 36 minutes a night, is that good? No, it's not. It's not, right? I think the Pacers would tell you it's not. His stats are awesome. He's averaging 26, 8, and 6. That's amazing. Like, he's played extremely well. He's done some bad things at the foul line. His turnovers in some games have been not great, but like, he's been amazing. That's too many minutes. Last year, I wrote a story on this, and he was the face of it because, of course, he's their oldest star, obviously. But, they did not rely on him for that many minutes, right? It was a huge deal to me that they were able to, and I actually can get it correct this time. Pascal Siakam finished the season 43rd in minutes per game. He was half a minute played away from 50th, right? Barely top 50. And he was an all-star, right? Most of the all-stars, I can see the list on the side of the screen right now, were above him, right? It's rare for a player of his talent level to play like 32 minutes or less per game. The Pacers do that. Rick Carlisle's vision for that is long-term, healthy for the playoffs. Guess what? The Pacers have been super healthy for their last 2 playoff runs. They have a minutes plan that they like and that works. They can't do it right now because everybody behind Siakam's hurt. Toppin's hurt. Their other power forwards have been on the team for like 2 days or 4 days or whatever. Jarris is playing alongside him. Neesmith's playing alongside him. Like they don't have other options. Is why I get why he'd be playing a lot for a banged up team, but it's not a good thing. It's just not. So I wonder how, or if they even can manage this, right? Yeah, they have Cody Martin and Jeremiah Robinson. Now, is that going to eat into Siakam's minutes? How's that going to help them win? They play a back-to-back this weekend. I think that will be telling. Like, how cautious are they in those games? And that will make me that will be telling to me in terms of like how keeping their eye on this they really are, right? If he plays a lot in both those games, especially if they don't win either one, that'll be obvious that they're trying to win and he's their best player and he's going to be on the floor to do it. And if in one or both games something looks a little different where he's in like the 28 to 30 range, then it'll be clear that they know about it and they're being careful about it. The same will go for McConnell when he returns. But the question has been proposed to me many times. Is Pascal Siakam playing too much? Is this a good idea to put this mileage on him? No, it's not. And the Pacers will tell, I bet if you even if you didn't Drew Serum them, they'd be like, no, we don't want to do this. I know they don't want to do it. They did not do it last year when they were good. Now that they're 1-7, they definitely shouldn't want this to be the case. And it's just how it has to be in their current health reality. We'll see how reality meets this. Their record meets this at some point this season, maybe even very soon. But I think it's a fair question. And I'm not even saying the Pacers are doing something wrong, right? Like, and his minutes are also inflated by a double overtime game. I'm not saying they're doing something wrong. It's just the situation that they find themselves in with him, and he's playing a lot. And I think that they would like it if he was down closer to, where he was last year, 32.7 minutes per game. Guess what? That'd be 45th. That's where Stephon Castle is and Dennis Schroeder, right? Like, it's very impressive the Pacers can play their all-stars the same as those guys and be really good. I think they would like that to be the case for Siakam again. The other thing I keep getting asked about or talking about is they're 1-7, but they've played 6 clutch games. Like, the margin between the Pacers being at least a better record than what they have is not that big, right? 1 shot against the Bucks, 1 shot against the Mavs, double overtime against the Thunder. Like, that's 3 games. That is like 1 or 2 possessions away from them being 4-4. Like, right now, it's not even hard to imagine that, right? But they're not. They're 1-7. And I keep bringing up the clutch games and how close they are, but I need to be like more clear about this because I feel bad about using this stat wrong, and I'm going to keep citing this a lot. So I need everybody to understand what I mean when I'm citing it. So being within the NBA defines clutch as you're within 5 points in the final 5 minutes of a game. That has happened to 4 teams in the NBA 6 times this season: the Mavs, the Pacers, the Bucks. That's 5 teams. I can count. It's the Mavs, the Pacers, the Bucks, the Sixers, and the Kings who have all done it 6 times. The Mavs are 1-5 in those games. The Pacers are 1-5. The other 3 teams are all 500 or better. You would expect if you're getting to crunch time that it's a 50-50 game, right? That's the theory of it. That's not always the case. The Pacers' net rating in clutch possessions is -1.8. That's 14th in the league. Okay, so they've been about average. I mean, obviously, negative is below average. Air quotes. They're above the median. They're better than more teams than they're worse than. So that all sounds good. They're getting to crunch time and they're playing better than some of these teams. And yet, it's not a perfect example. So crunch time is again within 5 minutes, within 5 points in the final 5 minutes. So if you're down 5, and then you score, and then the other team hits a 3, and now you're down 6. It's not, the next possession's not crunch time, right? So even though it started in crunch time, it's not. So it doesn't capture all the possessions late in games very well. The other thing is if you're coming back and lose, it like registers a clutch game, but it's not a good representation of what was happening. So against the Thunder, when crunch time started, 5 minutes to go, the Pacers were ahead. That's great. That one is they didn't blow that game. It was a 2-point game at the time, but they lost the game they were ahead. All the rest, so the Timberwolves, they were down 6 at the 5-minute mark. The Mavs game, they were down 8 at the 5-minute mark. The Warriors game that they won, they were down 7 at the 5-minute mark. The Bucks game, they were down 8 at the 5-minute mark. And the Nets game, they were down 6 with 5 minutes to go, then 8 at the 4:44 mark. Yes, these games all had a moment in them where crunch time was registered. That's why it counts as a clutch game. but they were like down so much that, yeah, they played better than their opponent in crunch time, but it doesn't matter. It's not like it was a back and forth crunch time game that they lost. They were down so much that they got it to clutch time, and that's great, but it wasn't enough to win. So when I keep citing clutch time, the Pacers are playing well in those moments, but they're playing well when they're already down 4 or 5 or whatever. And like, what, you have to be closer than that for it to matter. Keep that in mind when I talk about clutch time, because I'm going to keep doing it because they've been so close, but so close doesn't mean much. They've got to win some games. Tough road trip coming up. They'll hope to have better point guard play with Monte Morris for it. We'll be breaking it all down right here. I apologize for only one guest for half a show this week. The game schedule, I was going to have one today, and then they made a move. Just kidding. My guest could not do it for change of schedule for the day reason. So we'll make it up. We'll do 3 next week, I suppose. And of course, we'll be doing a show after both of their weekend games in Denver and Golden State. Thank you guys so much for listening today. You can find me on social media at Tony R. East. That's where you can tell me how stupid I am for my analysis of their transactions and such, or comment down below on YouTube. This podcast has some social media accounts. It's at Locked On Pacers. Very easy peasy. Thank you all so much for listening. Have a great weekend. We'll see you Saturday night after Pacers Nuggets. Till then, everybody have a wonderful day.